there are accidents that happen so fast, you don't even register what you just watched. And then there are ones that burn into your brain forever. The kind that make the people who were there never quite the same again. This is one of those stories. And the worst part, it was completely preventable. Her name was Anna. And if you'd seen her that morning, laughing, spinning, her hair flying behind her like she owned the whole room, you would have never believed what was about to happen. But this story isn't just about Anna. It's about what she left behind and who she decided to follow. Anna was the kind of person that made a room feel different the second she walked in. Long dark hair that went all the way past her waist, skin that literally glowed, a smile that made people stop mid-sentence. She wasn't just pretty. She was the kind of person you wanted to be around, the kind whose energy just makes everything feel a little more alive. She wasn't just the prettiest girl on campus either. Anna was sharp. Top GPA in her program, the kind of student professors actually remembered by name. She was out here doing everything, academics, athletics, social life, making it all look easy while the rest of us were barely keeping up. And then there was cheerleading. Anna lived for it. The stunts, the routines, the crowd. That was her element. She'd been flying since middle school, and her team trusted her completely. Every toss, every catch, every single time she went up. She came down safe, until the one time she didn't. Her best friend, Sarah, had been by her side since freshman orientation. They were the kind of friends that finished each other's sentences, shared everything, showed up for everything. Sarah was Anna's person, and when everything fell apart that day, Sarah was right there to watch it happen. And then there was Brent. Brent was a base, one of the guys responsible for catching Anna on the way down. The night before practice, Brent was at a fraternity party going absolutely stupid. We're talking all night, no sleep, still showing up to the gym the next morning with yesterday's alcohol still in his system. Nobody said anything. Nobody sent him home. And that decision cost everything. It was one of those days where the heat just sat on you, the kind where you can feel it the second you step inside. The gym, AC, had broken down that morning, and nobody had thought to cancel practice. Instead, someone dragged out the industrial fans. The big ones meant for warehouses and construction sites, the ones without safety covers on the front. Those fans aren't designed to be around people doing flips and tosses. They're not designed to be anywhere near anyone with long hair. But nobody thought about that. Nobody stopped to think. Anna was in a great mood that day. She and Sarah were cracking jokes during warm-ups, and her ponytail was bouncing as she stretched. She looked incredible, glowing even. The kind of day where everything feels right. Those are the days you remember the hardest, the ones right before everything changes. Brent took his position as base, but if you'd looked at him closely, really looked, you would have seen it. The glassy eyes, the delayed reactions, the way he kept shaking his head like he was fighting to stay in his body. He was gone, running on fumes and bad decisions, standing in the exact spot where Anna's life depended on him. The toss went up clean. Anna hit her mark perfectly. She always did. For just a second, she was up there, suspended in the air, hair coming loose from her ponytail, the whole gym watching. It was perfect. And then Brent's hands weren't where they needed to be. She slipped. Brent's arms gave out, and Anna came down sideways, not the way she was supposed to, not in a way anyone could recover from. In the chaos of the fall, she got too close to the fan, and that fan, with its massive exposed blades spinning at full speed, did what exposed industrial fans do. Her hair caught, and in less than 3 seconds, it was over. Anna was gone. Sarah lost it. She was screaming Anna's name, trying to reach her, begging everyone around her to do something. Some people froze completely. That full body shutdown that happens when your brain can't process what your eyes just saw. Someone called 911, but there was nothing to be done. Anna was already gone. And in the middle of all that chaos, Brent walked out the door, and nobody even noticed. Brent didn't stay, didn't check on anyone, didn't call for help. He just left, walked straight out of that gym while his teammates were falling apart inside it. By the time anyone thought to look for him, he was already gone. He drove home, showered, and didn't say a word to anyone. For 3 days, Brent went dark, wouldn't answer his phone, wouldn't open the door. His roommate said he barely ate, barely slept, just sat in the dark staring at the wall. And at first, people figured it was grief, shock, the same thing everyone was feeling. But it wasn't grief, it was something else. Something was already starting. It started on the second night. Brent woke up at 3 a.m. and heard something. Not loud, just a whisper. A girl's voice saying his name. He sat up, looked around the room, nothing there. He told himself it was a dream and laid back down. And that's when he felt it under his hand. A single strand of long dark hair on his pillow. He lived alone. He had short hair. There was no explanation. By day 4, it was everywhere. In the shower drain, wrapped around his toothbrush, coiled on top of his shoes. Long, dark, unmistakably Anna's hair, showing up in places it had no business being. He threw it all away. He deep cleaned his apartment. It didn't matter. Every morning, more hair. Then she started showing up in person, or whatever you'd call it. He'd catch her in the rearview mirror while driving, just sitting in the back seat, head twisted at an angle that wasn't right, eyes fixed on him. He'd spin around and nothing would be there. He ran 2 red lights that week. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. He stopped driving at night altogether. Back on campus, investigators were piecing together what happened. The gym had security cameras. The footage was clear. And what it showed was a base who wasn't in position, wasn't paying attention, and walked out the door 30 seconds after a girl died on his watch. The detective assigned to the case said it was the most cold-blooded thing he'd seen in 20 years of working accidents. Sarah wasn't doing well. She hadn't been back to the gym, hadn't been to class. She sat in her room with Anna's hoodie and replayed that day over and over. Every laugh, every joke during warm-ups. The last time Anna smiled at her. The guilt of surviving something your best friend didn't is its own kind of haunting. But Sarah's experience was different from Brent's. One night, she looked up at the mirror across her room and saw Anna standing behind her. Not twisted, not wrong, just Anna. Smiling. Hair perfect and long and beautiful. Sarah spun around and the room was empty. But when she looked back at the mirror, there was a single long strand of hair dragged slowly across the glass, like a goodbye or a warning. 2 weeks after the accident, detectives showed up at Brent's door. Negligent homicide, leaving the scene. The charges weren't small. Brent opened the door, looking like a completely different person. Gaunt, hollow-eyed, like something had been draining him from the inside every night for 14 days. Because something had. He didn't fight it, didn't run. He just went, quietly, like a man who'd already given up. The other students who watched from the dorms said he kept looking back over his shoulder the whole walk to the car, like he was checking whether something was following him, like he already knew the answer. Even in the holding cell, it didn't stop. A corrections officer doing rounds later said Brent was the most disturbed detainee he'd processed in years. Not violent, not loud, just completely unraveling. mumbling to himself, pressing himself against the wall like he was trying to get away from something only he could see. And when they did a welfare check at 2 a.m., there was a single long strand of dark hair on his cell floor, the cell he'd been in alone all night. He called his family twice that week. Both calls, he said the same thing, that he could hear her, that she wouldn't leave him alone, that he was seeing her hair everywhere he went. His mother thought it was a breakdown from the guilt. His lawyer told him to stop talking, but Brent kept saying it. She's not done with me. She's not done. 3 days before his scheduled arraignment, a guard went to wake Brent for breakfast and found the cell empty. Not escaped. The door was still locked from the outside. Brent was on the floor in the corner, unresponsive. But that's not what stopped the guard cold. It was the hair. Long, dark hair, covering every surface of that cell. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, draped across the bars, coiled on the cot, hundreds of strands of it, in a locked cell, where no one had been but Brent. The medical examiner's report said asphyxiation. Something had wrapped around Brent's throat in that locked cell and didn't let go. The forensics team collected the hair as evidence and ran it through every database they had. The source was never identified, but the detective who worked the case, a 20-year veteran, requested a transfer the week the results came back. He never spoke about it publicly. He never had to. They never brought that fan back into service. It sat in a storage corner of the gym for years, unplugged, covered in dust, like everyone just agreed not to talk about it. A janitor who worked the building said he'd walk past it sometimes late at night and swear he could hear something. Not a sound, exactly. More like a feeling. Like the room had weight in it. Like something was still in there, waiting. The last person to file a report about that gym said when they did their final walkthrough, they found something on the fan, wrapped around one of the blades. A single, long, dark strand of hair. The fan had been unplugged for 2 years. Nobody had been in that room, and Anna had been gone for just as long. Some people don't leave, some people can't, and maybe, just maybe, some people aren't ready to.